There's no one quite like Emily. Hello everyone, Thoris the Avid Engine here, and welcome back to another reaction of The Unlucky Tug. Today, we are finally delving into Sodor's finest with Emily. So, I guess I'll say this. Emily is a fine character. Is she the best out there? Not really. Then again, who is? But yeah, in terms of her character, she definitely fits the role pretty well. Now, as I've if you guys don't remember, the ranking video that I did with the Ginger Engine, you'll all obviously know my thoughts on CGI and All Engines Go and Model Series Emily. So, yeah, it's you all know which era I think is best for Emily. Now, the Unlucky Tug said that there was going to be a third thing to this, which has me a little concerned, because it's either he's finally going to be looking at All Engines Go, which is probably not going to be the case, which this is actually more likely going to be the case. He's going to be making a Railway Series headcanon for Emily, which is fine, but honestly, I don't know. So I guess with that said, let's see what he does with Emily.
Once upon a time, there was an engine called Emily. Emily was a special engine.
Was he really
She
not
was
able
what's
to get
known
around
as
the...
a single, an express engine with a single pair of large drives.
But yeah, I'm surprised that even with all of the edits that he would have had to have done, he wasn't able to, get it completely copyright-free, so that's interesting.
Driving wheels. This allowed her to go very fast and pull express trains from London to York. She was so fast that she even took part in races to Scotland. Emily was the first of many singles like her. She was built a very long time ago. And as time went on, newer, stronger engines took over the singles' work.
Hi, Mr.
But Emily was lucky. She was preserved, and on occasion she would be allowed to pull special trains. It was great fun at first. When Emily was not in steam, she was kept at the Railway Museum in York. And as time went on, the museum stopped using Emily. For many years, Emily sat stuck in the same place, day in, day out, seeing the same old things every day. She grew tired of talking to the other snooty museum engines. Emily longed for a change. And one day, she got it. The museum curator told her they would steam her again.
Yeah.
And finally, Emily returned to the rails. She pulled trains on heritage railways, and many people came to see her. And one day, she hauled a special to the island of Sodor.
I just can't believe there's still a whole island of working steam engines. What a place to live!
We've only just arrived. I'm sure you'll have a chance to meet them all.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, that's... So, the Unlucky Tug allowed his controller tier to have a chance to be a part of this Sodor's finest. Like engine crews and all that, but still, it was pretty nice of him to do that. Unfortunately, I didn't get in, so if you guys want a chance to be a part of his videos, then control it here.
Oh, I've never been good on hills. Come on. Come on! We're not going to stick here.
And stuck.
Great. Now we're stuck.
Think again.
Well, hello there. Need a push?
Yes, please.
Of course. You pull on my whistle. Ready? Steady! Pull! Almost got it! We're moving! Oh, there we go!
We've done it! Thank you, stranger.
My pleasure!
Gosh, everyone is so friendly on this island. Oh, how I wish I could stay here instead of going back in that boring museum.
Emily's wish would be granted sooner than she thought. That evening, the Fat Controller came to see her.
Welcome to our island, Emily. I hope you've enjoyed your time here so far.
Oh, yes, sir. It's been wonderful.
Well, I'm happy to hear that. Your driver tells me that you need a change, and I'd be more than happy to let you prove your worth on my railway. I've spoken with your owners, and they say that you can stay here for a while on loan. If you'd like to, of course.
Ooh, yes, please, sir. Yes, please.
Ha! Very well then. I shall arrange a trial run for you tomorrow.
Emily was overjoyed. Everything she'd wished for was starting to come true.
That's cool.
Or so she thought.
Emily the Emerald Engine. Or is it Emily the Elegant Engine? Emily the Sterling Engine?
Jesus.
Emily the Clever Engine? What? Emily the Safety Engine? Whatever. However you know her as, Emily is the resident sterling single on the island of Sodor. Pulling expresses, mixed goods, or even giant globes on flatbeds, Emily has done it all. She's confident, a quick thinker, and keeps everyone in check, sometimes coming off as rather blunt.
Come on.
She means well, but sometimes she can be bossy, a bit impatient, and a bit too confident in her abilities. Despite this, she has a good heart, and always comes through in the end. There's really no one quite like Emily. Emily's one I've been excited to cover in Sodor's Finest for a long time, and I'm quite happy to finally tell her story. So without further ado, let's dive in and take a look at the history of Emily.
It's time for our favorite disaster lesbian. Yes, I am one of those people. I don't care. Of course he did.
Emily made her debut to the world in Book 32, Emily the Emerald Engine. In this book, Emily is introduced battling a three-headed lion, and shortly after she is sent into space to meet the alien Chancellor Glorbin, where she discusses with him how to settle the galactic war.
Hey, shut up. Shut up.
Wait, what?
You're making a fool of yourself. Emily wasn't in the Railway series.
What?
Ha!
What do you mean she wasn't
Hi,
in the Railway
Trappy.
series?
Yup, she was never there. Also, a three-headed lion and Glorbin the Space Chancellor. Tug, you bonehead. That's Murdoch's story.
Oh, right.
What would you do without me?
Emily is a unique case when it comes to the series' main cast. She was not created by an Audrey, and never appeared in the book's canon. Emily made her debut in the TV series far into its run, all the way in Season 7. Considering how much of a staple she is to the franchise now, this may come as a shock to casual viewers. She is the third character that I've now covered in Sodor's Finest that is a TV series original, the other two being Hero and Cranky. Now I will of course talk about Emily in the TV series in the next section, so let's get creative and use this section to discuss the history of the engine Emily is based on.
I mean, that's fine.
And look at some potential Railway Series headcanons for her. The Stirling singles were developed by the Great Northern Railway's locomotive superintendent, Patrick...
No, sorry. That's... Sorry, I'm just... Don't get me wrong. I do like... I don't mind Unlucky Tug giving Emily a headcanon for being in the Railway series. But... Not for Sodor's Finest. You can do that all you want with, the, Sidetracked series. But not for Sodor's Finest. I was... as crazy as it is, I was actually genuinely interested to see if he was going to cover All Engines Go, but... It just seems like he will not ever look into All Engines Go, so... Honestly, I don't know what I expected, but at the same time, it's like, come on, dude, you gotta break the shell. Especially when you get to Whiff.
Stirling in 1870, hence their class name, the Stirling Singles. They were built at a time when the Great Northern was acquiring more routes, and a fast express type was needed to run the London to York service. At the time, singles were the top link express types. The single set of large driving wheels allowed them to accelerate quickly. The prototype, number 1, was outshopped from Doncaster Works in 1870, and it was not a total success initially. It had issues with steaming and traction, meaning steep grades posed somewhat of a challenge to it. Despite this, it still managed, and even participated in the Great Race to the North in 1888, a race up from London to Scotland between rivaling railway companies. These races were never publicly announced, and the railway companies denied that they even happened. Stirling continued to develop upon number 1's design, and its issues were rectified in later members of the class. 53 Stirling singles were built in total,
Nice.
and they were all built in pairs. 2 at a time, meaning each engine had a twin sister locomotive. Number 1, of course, being the exception. Every pair differed slightly from the previous when outshopped. The frames, boiler size, design of the wheel arches, all varied, so each pair was fairly unique. While undoubtedly beautiful engines, the singles did not have the longest working lives. Withdrawals first occurred in 1899, with the last remaining one holding on till 1916. Number 1, however, was lucky. It being the first of the class and its participation in the Race to the North landed it a spot in preservation. The Great Northern Railway preserved the engine in 1907. That's right, it's so old that it was withdrawn and preserved by the railway that built it. It was preserved before the First World War broke out. It was preserved before
nuts.
Titanic sank. I really can't emphasize enough that the Stirling singles are old engines. Since then, number 1 has been a part of the LNER's collection, with its home being in their museum in York, later come to be known as the National Railway Museum. Something rather interesting about number 1 is its tender. When it was preserved, its original tender was lost, so when it was restored in 1909, it gained a totally different design of tender that the Great Northern had to spare. The tender came off an even older design of engine, designed by Arthur Sturrock.
Wow.
I have no idea why it wasn't just given a tender off one of the recently withdrawn singles at the time, but regardless, for the majority of number one's preservation life, it's been paired with this tender. That is, until a derelict singles tender was miraculously discovered in Peterborough, being used as a water carrier. The National Railway Museum acquired and restored it. And since 2014, number one has been paired with an accurate tender again. The first time it had been in over 100 years.
Jesus.
The historic tender still exists, and I believe it is currently stored at Locomotion in Shildon. Number one has steamed a couple times in preservation, in 1938 to haul rail tours, and again in 1981, where it ran trains on the Great Central and North Yorkshire Moors Railways for a couple years.
Oh my god, I just... 1 second. So... When I first heard that this was announced, I was like, I'm going to get this. And I got it. So... From what I saw, from what I can tell, like, because I have unboxed it and all that, like, hang on, let me even, you guys are technically going to see an unboxing, so, it's a long case, but yeah, like, this is Emily in model form. In terms of the tender, it's very clearly like the one that she got paired with for like said 100 or so years, and it's like, yeah, because if I remember correctly, it was I believe the description for it said 1939. So, yeah, it would have been paired with its, her second tender, so, that's cool. Give me, so, yeah, it's, but, yeah, no, I mean, just, like, have a look at how beautiful she looks, like, God. When I get like a different place, I'll be able to like run her. But that's for a future. So yeah, that is my model of the number one Sterling single. If you guys want to get one for yourself, it's by Rapido Trains. And go to Rails of Sheffield. Good prices there.
It has not run since, now just over 40 years ago, but it has participated in several events, including being the star engine of the Railway Children play at Waterloo between 2008 and 2012.
That's cool.
Back to Emily. Now I like Emily, but I do admittedly find her kind of frustrating. Not because I dislike her personality or anything. She has many unique traits that I'll talk about in the next section. No, I find Emily frustrating because she has no history.
Yeah.
The show never bothered to tell us anything about where Emily came from. I mean, every other new character in Season 7 at least had some sort of explanation for why they were brought in or why they existed.
This is Arthur. He's here to shunt trucks and pull freight. This is Murdoch. He's going to be pulling freight on the main line. I'm the Duke and Duchess's private engine. Yep. I take them everywhere.
And
Fergus is the pride of the cement works.
Emily, meanwhile, just got this.
A new engine had arrived, and he wanted to say hello.
She was just a random new engine, with no reason given. Just some lines of dialogue here and there when they're relevant to a story would go such a long way. I always cross the island twice by tea time. You'll never do that. I used to pull expresses back in my day, thank you very much. I think I can handle myself. You know, something like that. I think this is partly because of when Emily was introduced. Right before the hit entertainment takeover. And God knows they didn't care about character backstories or sticking to canon in those seasons. But even in the later Renaissance seasons, where they would produce flashbacks to give some additional context to certain characters,
Emily was never given one.
Emily still got nothing. I think the only instance of history for Emily is in a random magazine story of all things, where it stated that she was built by the nondescript Scottish Engine Company, the same one as Donald and Douglas, in fact.
Really?
Which, of course, wouldn't even be
Yeah,
accurate
it's
to real
inaccurate.
life. She would have been built at Doncaster, which is in England. I think it bothers me more with Emily than others because Emily is a main character, or at least became one. And every other main has a rich history thanks to Wilbert Awdry's writings. And I feel, as a main, Emily deserves that too. And with her being based on such an old, outdated engine, and somehow still being in regular service in the present day of the series, that's only more reason to write something up for her.
Right?
Now, don't misconstrue what I'm saying here. God, I can already see the Twitter complaints now. I'm not saying this makes
Bit of a coincidence because that's already happened.
Emily a bad character or anything. And I prefer to look at this as a glass half full sort of situation. With so much about her being a mystery, it means us fans can get creative and fill in the blanks. This is an excuse to headcanon pretty much whatever we want for Emily, and any of what we come up with would be valid, because there's nothing in the canon to disprove it otherwise. I have seen so many creative fan headcanons for Emily over the years, from her being one of the early engines on the island, and working on the Wellsworth and Sudbury or Sodor and Mainland railways, to her being saved because she was turned into a stationary boiler after withdrawal, to her being hidden away in a carriage shed for decades to evade the scrapper's torch.
I should do that sometime.
Personal Railway Series headcanon for Emily is this. She is the preserved Sterling single in the National Collection. Now I'm well aware that there's a few differences between number 1 and Emily.
Yeah.
She actually has more in common with the later built singles, with the extended cab roofs and the unspoked wheel arches. Not to mention the whole tender situation. But I prefer to ignore the small cosmetic things like that, because I'm more interested.
Honestly, I want to try make like a headcanon myself. I think the issue with Emily is that it's sort of hard to. I don't know how, but out of all the characters who have at least something, this one has nothing, meaning we can do stuff with her. But she does have a character, so I know it's possible, and like many people have done it before, but I don't know. I've just kind of been struggling to think of one, if I'm honest. So, but yeah. Anyway, those are my thoughts on trying to make a headcanon for Emily. Let's hear the Unlucky Tugs' headcanon.
Interested in how this could influence her character, and it lining up with her introduction in the TV series. The preserved single was steamed and pulled excursion trains on heritage railways in the early 80s. So who's to say that one day she didn't haul a special to Sodor during that time? The single was only restored for a limited 5-year operation, so let's say that the Fat Controller offered to fully overhaul Emily at his works. And in exchange, Emily got to stay on Sodor for a long-term loan. Such is the case with so many of the working National Collection engines on heritage railways.
Yeah.
On Sodor, she runs one of the scenic routes hauling light excursion trains. Nothing too demanding for such an old engine like her. Nothing about the engine's history really has to change to make this believable. We can just imagine that all the time it's really on display in the museum, not making appearances, it's actually on Sodor having adventures. Emily simply goes between the two places. Oliver is also present in Emily's debut story, so if we want to get really technical, she couldn't have arrived before he did in 1967. I also really like the idea of Emily being a museum engine. That's a very different history than the other engines on Sodor, who all either evaded scrap in some way, or were lucky enough to always be kept in service. No one would have the same perspective on things as Emily does. She would have lived the majority of her life in preservation before even meeting the Sodor engines. Hell, most of them were built after she was preserved. She lived in a totally different world from them. But of course, that's only my own personal preference for Emily. And if you have a different take, I'd love to read it in the comments below.
So, okay. I guess in that sense I can talk about Emily. So my thoughts is that Emily isn't number one. She's well, she could be number one, but for all we know, she could be one of the others. It kind of a similar situation with Duck and Oliver, where they have not their original numbers. Yeah, no, I do feel like having her as number one kind of feels like a bit of a quote-unquote cheat, because it's like, hey, here's the real-life Emily. When, like, she's clearly designed after one of the other Sterling singles. Yeah, I mean, Emily could simply just be, I mean, there's no reason for her not to be, like, another preserved engine in a museum that's not York. So, I mean, it could simply just be that, like, Sir Topham Hatt was looking for, like, a new engine to, like, help on one of the branch lines. Which branch line would that be? Don't know. And yeah, the Fat Controller was willing to restore Emily to full power. So I mean, it's a bit bare bones, but something.
News of the new engine spread fast. The next day, Thomas was hurrying back to the big station to meet her.
Mustn't be late. Mustn't be late.
Oh, gosh.
Good morning, Henry.
What's good about it?
Doing fine myself, thanks for asking.
Emily was being prepared for her trial run.
I'm here. Don't leave yet.
Ah, Thomas, good. You're just in time. Here is Emily.
Hello, Emily. Nice to meet you.
Hello to you.
Your trial run on Thomas's branch starts soon, Emily. Go collect some coaches from the yard and meet me back here.
Yes, sir. Be back in a jiff. Catch you later, Thomas.
So, what do you think, Thomas?
I quite like her.
Annie and Clarabelle had just been refitted. They were waiting in the yard for Thomas. But Emily arrived first.
Pretty slim pickings for coaches. There's those two there. They're not your sort of coaches, but I suppose they'll do.
Oh, did you hear that, Clarabelle?
How dare he say we'll do?
And we've just been refitted too.
The nerve!
Emily was too excited to pay Annie and Clarabelle any notice. They grumbled all the way.
Well, how dare he say very indeed.
Emily made good time and was on her way back when...
Oh, there's Thomas.
Thomas?
Oh, Thomas!
Hello, Thomas.
Hello? What? Hey! Those are my coaches. Give them back.
He didn't seem too pleased to see me.
Emily was quite distraught by this. She didn't understand what she'd done to anger him.
I don't get it. He seemed friendly earlier. Maybe he just took on some bad water.
She soon found out why.
Hey, what do you think you're doing with Annie and Clarabelle? Those are Thomas's coaches, you know.
Oh, so that's why he was so cross. I had no idea. Oh dear. I must find him and apologise.
Emily searched, but no matter where she went, Thomas was nowhere to be found. She felt terrible.
Oh, good going, Emily. Way to make a good impression on your first day.
Emily didn't find Thomas, but she did find the Fat Controller.
Well, hello, Emily. Fancy meeting you here. I was going to come to see you tonight to tell you the good news, but you've saved me the trouble. You did very well on your trial today.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I think I have the perfect job for you. I have arranged for you to run the Black Lock route. The summer traffic will be heavy, and having its own engine dedicated to it will certainly help our timetables. It's our most scenic route on the island. Lots of holidaymakers for you to take around. You'll enjoy that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Emily was pleased to hear this news, but found it hard to be happy about it. She was still upset she hadn't made up with Thomas.
Wonder why.
Before we talk about Emily herself, I think it's important that we discuss the history of female representation in Thomas and Friends, because it's an important topic to address, and it plays a key role in Emily's conception. It's no secret that the cast of Wilbert Awdry's Railway series is predominantly male. Most of the engines are all male, with the only female railway characters tending to be coaches. Annie and Clarabelle, Henrietta, Agnes, Ruth, Lucy, Jemima, and Beatrice, Isabel and Dulcie, Alice and Mirabelle, Catherine, and so on. Now keep in mind, Wilbert came from a very different time than we live in now.
That is true.
And I doubt any of this was an intentional slight or a statement being made on his part. But even back then, he faced some backlash for this. Critics said that his message was loud and clear. Men lead, women follow. To Wilbert's credit, he did attempt to amend the issue when he introduced Daisy in Book 16, the very first female train character. And she remained the only one till the end of Wilbert's run. In his final book, Wilbert introduced Mavis, a diesel shunter, and everyone loves Mavis. Christopher kept it up with the introduction of Pip and Emma, the high-speed train set that eventually took over Gordon's job. I think it's pretty cool that the main flagship train of the railway in modern day is a pair of female engines. However, the ratio between how many male and female characters there were was still pretty largely uneven.
There's like 3.
The TV series faced similar criticisms early on. Daisy was brought in during season 2, and the first, and at the time, the only, girl train of the series looking like a female stereotype with her exaggerated makeup was rather controversial.
Yeah. That one is true, but at the same time, she was rushed, so it's literally just Boko's faces with makeup on, so there's not... In terms of that, there wasn't really much that they could do with that, so I can forgive it.
So controversial, in fact, that her episodes were held off in the States until Mavis's had aired, making her the first girl train to the public over here. This actually happened. It's why neither of Daisy's episodes were aired on Shining Time Station and were exclusive to VHS. Season 4 introduced a slew of new vehicle characters, and only one of them was female. A car named Caroline, who hardly appeared again, so she's hardly worth talking about. It's probably also worth mentioning Rusty, who was male in the books. Brett Allcroft changed Rusty to be gender neutral and bring some gender balance to the narrow gauge fleet. Never once in the first 7 seasons is Rusty ever referred to as he or she, always just the little diesel. I think the show staff saw Rusty as female, however, for director David Mitton refers to Rusty as she in all the episode scripts he wrote. Season 5 again only brought in one girl, and it was again a coach, Old Slow Coach. So at this point, the entire female cast, TV and books combined, consisted of coaches, diesels, and a car, and not a single female steam engine. Now that did change come Thomas and the Magic Railroad with the introduction of Lady, the first ever female steam engine of the series, and voiced by Britt Allcroft herself.
Yeah.
But of course, Lady is not conventional. She is a weird anomaly. She's a magic train that is essentially a god in this train world.
Not to mention, she's also a freelance design, so there's nothing really to base her on. Like, the closest we've got is, like, the Great Western 101 class, even though there was only one class, like, there was only one engine for that class. So, I mean, timeline-wise, it still works out, but it's, yeah.
She doesn't really have much of a personality on screen, and she's barely treated as canon following the movie. Season 6 brought in 2 female Lories with Elizabeth and Isabella, but again, no trains. It was pretty evident at that time that the show, now moving into its 7th season, was in dire need of a major female train character at this point. A regular that could appear often and interact with the main cast. Not Daisy, who had a controversial history and was already seldom used at this point. Not Mavis, who was shelved away at the quarry. Not a coach, not a car, not a lorry, not a magic bean. Just a normal female steam engine. During production of Season 6, model maker David Eves produced a Gauge 3 model of the preserved Stirling single. The show's producer at the time, Phil Furley, saw the model in person and took note of how the sloping shape of the engine's smoke box to its cylinders made it look like the engine had a woman's hair. Yeah. He described in an interview with SIF that it looked 19th century elegant and thought it would be the perfect candidate for a major female engine character.
That's alright.
He apparently had to fight for the idea and describes that there was some resistance from the other side. But he prevailed and described it as one of his proudest moments while working on Thomas.
Good on you, Phil.
Robert Galliers drew up concept arts, and boom, Emily was born. Emily's prop was built during production of Season 7, and the character made her grand debut in the season's premiere episode, Emily's New Coaches. Emily arrives on Sodor for some reason and meets Thomas.
Thomas, meet Emily.
Hello.
Hello to you.
She is told to collect her coaches, and she takes Annie and Clarabelle by accident, unaware that they belong to Thomas. When she passes other engines, they all glare at her for taking them. I've always found this episode premise to be a little silly. I totally get why Thomas would be upset over this and give Emily the cold shoulder. He's a hothead and he loves his coaches, so of course he'd grumble about them being taken. And even more understandably so when he's told to just use other ones.
I want you to go to the docks to pick up new coaches.
New coaches? But sir...
But the other engines acting just as unfriendly seems bizarrely out of character for them.
A little bit.
And it's sadly another case of that group mentality that the main cast sometimes had.
Yeah, bear in mind, it was only Percy and Oliver that showed up, but again, like, Percy I can understand, because it's like, he works on the same branch line as Thomas, so, like, with Percy, that I feel like that's sort of like an unwritten rule between him and Thomas, where unless Thomas is away, Percy is allowed to use Annie and Clarabelle, but when Thomas is around, he only just uses the red branch line coaches, which, you know, I feel like that's a good enough friendship bond for Thomas and Percy, but why Edward? Like, Edward would have probably just been like, they're just coaches, Thomas, there's no need for alarm. But, yeah, fuck the group mentality.
Starting in this era. Emily proves herself, though, when she saves Thomas and Oliver from a nasty collision, and her and Thomas make amends.
Friends? Friends.
As a reward for her bravery, the Fat Controller presents Emily with her own rake of matching coaches, of which she keeps for the rest of the series. These are uniquely the only 6-wheel coaches in the series, which is pretty neat. The singles did regularly haul 6-wheel coaches like these back in the day. It shows the show team did a little research on the real thing. I'll be honest though, I frequently forget that Emily has her own coaches. So few episodes actually deal with her pulling them. I always thought it'd be neat if they made the coaches characters of their own later on, with their own names and faces. to give Emily someone to talk to on her journeys. They would have fit right in CGI when they started giving all the coach characters faces. Michelangelos gave Emily a Scottish accent.
Hello, Thomas, Emily called.
Hello, Thomas.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry I took Annie and Clarabelle.
Now this is technically incorrect since Emily has no real ties to Scotland, but it's become such a core part of her character to me that it seems blasphemous to even nitpick it. Later narrators and even her CGI voice actor would continue it. As of Season 7, Emily was not meant to be a main character, at least not yet. She was just one of several new faces this year, though she did get the most screen time of all of them, with speaking roles in 4 episodes and a handful of cameos. The goal this season was merely just to introduce the character and some of her personality traits. You know, familiarize the audience with her a bit. Personally, I've always felt that Emily's characterization was a bit on the generic side this season. A nice character that always does the right thing. A sort of maternal figure, which, to be fair, wasn't really something present in the cast at this time. What's the Matter with Henry showcased this well.
Yeah.
When Henry has fallen ill,
Salty
Emily
Tail.
takes notice and follows him, suspecting a breakdown was imminent. He does break down, and she rescues him.
Oh, thank you, Emily, wished Henry.
However, Emily does have a pretty great standout moment in Salty's stormy tale.
Yep.
In this one, Thomas and Percy make fun of Salty behind his back, and Salty overhears. When Emily catches wind, she lashes out at the two of them.
Emily was cross. It's no nice to copy the way others speak. You hurt Salty's feelings.
This is the first time we saw Emily really get angry and lose her cool. She went from like 0 to 100 instantly, quite unlike other guiding characters. I couldn't picture Edward erupting like this.
No.
I look at this as sort of the defining moment that later writers would use to further shape Emily, as we will see in the next season. Speaking of next season, Hit Entertainment bought out Ghislaine in 2002. Hit wanted to completely overhaul Thomas and Friends in their own image. Season 7 was produced under their ownership, but they did not implement their changes until Season 8. Now, a lot of change occurred in Season 8. The format, the writing style, the theme song, and most notably, the cast. Hit really wanted to push the main cast as their own bubble for marketing purposes. 8 main characters labeled as the Steam Team, and moved away from the expansive cast of secondary characters.
Which is both a good and a bad thing. Like, it's a good thing that they have, like, solidified who is going to be the main 8 characters for the show, but at the same time, getting rid of a majority of the side characters, some of which we really like Duck, Donald, Douglas, Oliver, Mavis, well, okay, scratch Mavis, Boko, who hasn't been seen since season 5, so scratch that as well, Murdoch, but yeah, no, like, it just, it's both a good and a bad thing that it didn't happen, and, yeah.
At one point, Duck was considered for this main group, being the number 8 and all.
Which makes
but
sense.
Hit really wanted a female character in the group to balance out things a bit. And as Emily had just been introduced, she was the obvious choice. So Duck and others were ousted, and Emily was bumped up to main character status. Now the Hit era seasons have their share of problems, but something that I give them a lot of credit for is how they went about bringing Emily into the spotlight. They so easily could have just thrown her into the main sheds with no explanation and expect everyone to go along with it. But no, instead they made this big status quo change gradually. They were really smart with how they approached it.
Yeah.
Season 8 was Emily's season. They used this season to beef up her fairly generic character, explore her relationships with the others, and introduce some of her own flaws. The 2003 Writer's Bible by Abby Grant describes Emily as a Little Miss Bossy Buffers who thoroughly enjoys being Emily, confident and a know-it-all, but by no means a mean engine, and her bossiness lies genuinely with good intent. I don't really know where this characterization for Emily was pulled from, since this isn't really present in Season 7, but I can kind of see the connection with her portrayal in Salty's Stormy Tale, and I understand their intent here. A well-meaning character with more clearly defined flaws poses a lot more story potential than someone who is just generally nice. If she's gonna be a main player, then she has to learn lessons, right? Emily's relationship with Thomas was heavily explored this year. Season 7 had already shown Emily to be kind of a maternal or big sisterly type of character to him, telling him off, saving him from scrapes. And we got a whole episode focused on the two's relationship here, Thomas, Emily, and the snowplow. Emily finds joy in keeping Thomas in order, and she goes a little too far that Thomas refuses to listen to her moving forward. Snowfall is on the way, and Emily insists that Thomas wear his plow. And we all know just how much Thomas hates wearing his snowplow. So he refuses.
Bother
you,
snowplow,
I don't do
said
that.
Thomas, and bother Emily. Oh, Thomas.
So Thomas inevitably sticks in the snow. And who comes to his rescue? But Emily, of course.
You should say sorry for bossing me about. I am sorry, said Emily. Sorry you didn't listen to me.
What Emily failed to do was to tell Thomas it was the Fat Controller's order, and both are scolded for their mistakes.
You mean I have two engines that don't listen? Well, I never.
I quite like this episode. It's a good showing of both characters being wrong at the same time, and it solidifies what Emily and Thomas's relationship is. They're like siblings. They have habits that get on each other's nerves. Emily looks out for him, but she tends to nag. And Thomas is impulsive and tends to not listen. Both can be hotheads in their own ways. But they do get along. And when they're both in good moods, they can be quite witty with each other.
But next time, if you want to stay out of trouble, just do what I say. Even Thomas had to laugh. I am learning patience, but if only I could learn it faster. Thomas had to laugh.
Several episodes explore her relationship with the big engines. As Good as Gordon sees Emily take over the express duty.
I just noticed Gordon's front wheel was derailed. What?
Duties from Gordon for the day. Gordon has his doubts about her, but Emily is confident that she can match him. Which, keeping in mind that she was an express engine in real life, this is pretty fun. It's like the only Emily episode that actually plays on the type of engine that Emily is. More on that later. She gets into it a bit with James in that same episode, and learns about the Black Lock monster from him in Emily's new route. And all three of them group up in spick and span, all certain that they'll win a cleanliness contest, which of course goes awry. It wasn't really uncommon to see these three together throughout these seasons. Henry had started to cool off around this time, and he became a much less arrogant character, so it seemed like, for a little while there, that Emily had replaced him as the third of the big three pompous engines. A flaw of hers that they explored a lot here was Emily's impatience. Emily can get quite irate when she has to wait for something.
Okay, but why is
she gets fed up with having to wait for connections while pulling the express. She gets quite angry with the trucks for delaying her. And she hurries everyone in Emily's adventure. Emily's adventure is one of the unfortunate bumps in this character exploration. I think they took things a bit too far here, and it made Emily a little too rude.
Trevor.
She's just rude to everyone she passes in this for pretty much no reason,
nice,
to
Trevor,
a point
but
where
you
she
weren't made
becomes
for a good
really
flagpole.
unlikable. Halfway through on this rewatch, I found myself asking, why are we supposed to root for Emily here?
Every time she came across workmen clearing the track, she blew her whistle and wheezed her steam.
Crazy that this is the same character who lashed out at Thomas and Percy for being rude to others last season. It doesn't help that this episode is a total snorefest, with such an obvious, spelled-out moral.
That's because you're a big bossy boiler, laughed Thomas. You should try asking nicely for a change.
Gee, thanks, Thomas. Never could have figured that one out if you didn't tell me. However, this episode does set up something very important that becomes relevant later on. That Emily stays at Knapford Sheds separate from everyone else, which is consistent with Season 7. Every time they showed Knapford Sheds, Emily was always present there, being prepped or doing something in the background. Little did we know at the time, this was a clever setup for the big change that would occur in next year's special, Calling All Engines. A rare instance of intentional continuity in the hit era. Calling All Engines followed Season 8, and kicked off Season 9. I've talked about this special many times now. There's many topics of discussion within this thing.
Yep.
but we're going to focus on the Emily subplot specifically. Tidmouth Sheds gets knocked down for restoration, and while the work is done, the engines all sleep elsewhere. Thomas ends up bunking with Emily in her shed, and Emily is not too pleased about it at first.
It makes more sense for Gordon to be at Knapford Sheds. The Express starts at Knapford in the show. Have him be at Knapford Sheds. Come on.
Especially since Thomas sleep whistles.
He started to sleep whistle. It
That
kept
must be
Emily
so fucking
awake.
annoying for the others.
But when Thomas doesn't show up one night, she realizes that she misses the company. But she doesn't feel lonely for long, because when Tidmouth Sheds reopens, Percy notices an extra space has been added.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
He said it! He said it!
The Fat Controller explains that the extra space is for Emily, and from this moment forward, Emily has become a permanent member at Tidmouth Sheds, fully solidifying her spot in the main cast. See, by this point, the audience had 2 seasons of content to get to know Emily, so her official addition to the main cast here did not feel out of place or random. It felt special. Emily was officially a main character now, and by no means did it feel out of nowhere or alienating. If I were to critique this a bit though, it does feel a little random in terms of the movie's narrative. The Fat Controller gives her a birth just because. I think it would have been a bit more satisfying had Thomas or someone else maybe spoken to the Fat Controller about it and put in a good word for Emily. Or maybe Emily did something heroic in the movie that earned her her spot.
Yeah.
Moving into Season 9, Emily joined the ranks of the other mains that received usually 1 lead a season. And to their credit, they're all pretty good. Emily Knows Best is an Emily and Toby story, and it's quite entertaining. After taking some visitors to a ruined castle, Emily desires to be queen for a day.
I'd like to be a queen, thought Emily. Queens are in charge and tell everybody what to do.
Toby shoots this idea down in the most Toby way possible.
You have to be clever to be a queen and know the right thing to do.
I always know what to do, huffed Emily. Toby laughed.
This episode also contains probably one of the funniest out-of-context visuals of the series. Jesus Christ, did a bomb go off? How was anyone alive after that? This is a genuinely funny episode. Lots of good moments in it. The show in its later years could still be hilarious when it wanted to be. Emily and the Special Coaches is a personal favorite of mine, one of the gems of the hit era, in my opinion. After beating his speed record from a previous episode, wow, another instance of solid continuity, Gordon is awarded with a rake of Special Coaches, and Emily is sent to collect them. She gloats about this to Diesel, and refuses to hear him out when he wants to talk about his own accomplishments.
Well, there's nothing special about smelly old Diesels, pouted Emily.
In retaliation, Diesel steals the coaches, and Emily is sent on a wild goose chase across Sodor to find them. I like this episode a lot for it being the first ever to show Diesel in a more complex, sympathetic light, and I think Emily was a fitting contrast to him here.
I also think it was smart for it to be Emily, because it, had it been, Thomas or James, they would have been oh, smelly Diesel, or whatever the hit era was doing at this point. But no, I think it's smart that, Emily was willing to listen to Diesel. So, yeah, I think it was smart to use Emily for this one.
As we've seen before, she can be quite impatient and judgy, and prone to jump to conclusions. But when she's proven wrong, she does the right thing in the end. Emily's rubbish is another fun one. Emily meets Whiff in this one.
Hi, Whiff.
Hello, Emily. My name's Whiff, because I'm a bit smelly.
Coincidentally, Whiff is based on Aerolite, another National Collection engine. Was this pairing an intentional nod to that? Emily finds Whiff embarrassing, and being seen with such a grubby engine is a blow to her ego, so she tries to lose him. It's nice to get an Emily episode that deals with an insecurity of hers for once, and still relating it back to her pride. For once, it's not her impatience or need to control that is her undoing. Her overconfidence is her Achilles heel once
Yes.
again in Season 12's Excellent
this one
Emily,
is
where she
another
thinks she
favorite
can
of
push
mine.
through any blockages on the line after a storm, which of course doesn't
Fails.
end well.
The track started to sink. Emily was...
Well, I like that's an Emily and Murdoch story, like, because they both got introduced in the same season, so I was like, it's nice that, like, these two are getting an episode together.
stuck.
So are the tracks just floating on the water here? Like most of Season 12, this episode is pretty ridiculous. But it's kind of fun to watch just to see how much they put Emily's prop through to film this. I'm shocked the thing still worked after being dragged through water and mud like this. I wonder what it looks like nowadays.
Oh.
Emily may have started as a fairly generic character,
Yeah.
but over time they carved her out as she continued to appear, creating this very confident, somewhat prickly, somewhat bossy, endearingly flawed engine. I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I prefer this version of Emily. I do think they took it a bit too far in a couple episodes, and I can totally understand why some people may not be on board with this interpretation. But I find it to be the most entertaining version of her. Emily was remarkably consistent throughout these seasons, and I find her episodes to be some of the stronger ones of this era. James, Gordon, and Emily. Those were the three that the hit era writers had down to a T. Maybe that's because pompous characters are fun to write for. Everyone loves a story where someone with an ego gets knocked down a peg, right?
True.
The next day, Emily started her new job. The Fat Controller had set her up with a special rake of coaches. Holiday makers excitedly boarded the train. The Fat Controller was right. The Black Lock route was quite a lovely run, going past lakes and ruined castles. Emily quite enjoyed herself at first, but she quickly realised there were no other engines along this route. She was all alone. A few days later, Emily was on her way to collect her coaches as usual, when...
Thomas! Oh, Thomas!
Oh, no.
Thomas! Oh, I'm glad I found you.
What do you want?
I wanted to tell you. I didn't mean to take...
Ha! Tell it to somebody who cares. I don't talk to coach snatchers.
Hey! I don't snatch coaches, thank you very much. If you'd just listened to me, you'd know that I took Annie and Clarabelle by accident. I tried to find you and tell you.
Well, you didn't try hard enough, did you? Goodbye.
Thomas, what has gotten into you?
She didn't mean to take us. If we've gotten over it by now, surely you can.
You should apologize.
I've nothing to be sorry for.
Weeks passed. Emily was kept in a carriage shed outside Knapford. A late summer storm kept her awake one night. She was all alone there, with only a mouse for company. As she sat there, she began to think. She thought about Thomas and the other engines, and she thought about how lonely she was.
Maybe staying on Sodor wasn't such a good idea after all. What's the difference between this and being stuck in a museum? Either way, I have no one to talk to.
Poor Emily had a lot to think about. One morning, Emily set off to collect her train as usual. Suddenly, she was stopped by a signalman waving a red flag.
What's the matter?
It's Oliver. He hasn't cleared the next signal box. Proceed ahead and see what's wrong.
There he is. Everything all right, Oliver?
Well, things could be better. He's broken down, Miss Emily, and in a great spot for it too. Right on the crossing.
I'll push you to the next station. Don't worry.
Uh-oh.
Oliver, what are you doing on the crossing? Move! Now! Move!
Emily, help!
I'm coming! I'm coming! Get on, you!
Ah! Move out of the way! Ah!
Phew, that was close. Yes, thank you, Miss Emily. You saved us.
My pleasure.
Later, the Fat Controller praised Emily.
Well done, Emily. You are a very brave engine.
The bravest.
Aw, thank you both.
Yes, thank you, Emily. I'm sorry I was so rude before, and for calling you a coach snatcher.
It's forgotten. I'm sorry I got cross. Friends.
Friends.
That's what I like to hear. I'm glad you've come around, Thomas, because I have more news. Emily, I am honored to have you on my railway. I've spoken to the museum curator, and he has agreed to let you stay on Sodor. You're still a part of the National Collection, but as far as we're concerned, you're now one of my engines. The coaches that you've been using on your lock runs are now rightfully yours.
Ooh, thank you, sir.
All right.
However, with the summer season coming to an end, I have a different job for you now. Henry is due for his overhaul, so I want you to do his work on the main line while he's away for the winter. Do you think you can manage it?
Oh, yes, sir. Of course, sir.
This was like a dream come true. So Emily took over Henry's work on the main line.
It's just Spencer's thing.
She pulled trucks and coaches too. She felt like a real engine again.
Oh, Thomas! Thank goodness I found you. You all should take care.
What? Why's that?
Because there's apparently a coach snatcher loose on the main line now.
Oh, that's a good one, dear.
She even got on with the other big engines.
Ah, so you're the single they talked about. Nice to see another Doncaster engine here. We could use another nice shiny passenger engine. We don't need another James.
Hey! At least I know not to steal someone else's coaches.
Well, at least any coaches I pull don't need bootlaces.
What?
Wow!
Good one, Emily.
I didn't even know about that. I've been here for like 10 minutes.
For the first time in a long time, Emily felt like she belonged.
I've only known you for like 10 minutes.
After a cold winter, spring finally came, and Henry returned home from the works.
Oh, this spring sun really does make my dome sparkle, doesn't it?
And my shiny red paint is glistening like stars in the night sky.
And you ought to try and keep it that way. We don't need you crashing into tar tankers again, James.
Come on! How does she know about that?
Oh, I think I see a black mark right there on your dome still.
Oh, ha ha! Very funny.
The engines were enjoying themselves. All except for one.
Think she can replace me, does she? We'll see about that.
Oh. Oh. I see. Jesus, that was... Okay.
Emily made her grand debut into the CGI series with a bang. A literal bang.
Trembling tracks!
I forgot how
What was
fast
that?
Spencer was.
Like everyone else here, she officially gained a voice actor. Teresa Gallagher voiced Emily in the UK dub, who seems to voice a character in, like, every animated show ever.
Voice recognized. Disguise program initiated.
Really?
Cool!
You may know her as Nicole Watterson from The Amazing World of Gumball. Here's a clip of her talking to Henry.
Come on, Larry! Just let me in! I'm sure we can talk this through.
No, every time I so much as look at a
Oh.
Watterson, something terrible happens to me. Okay, I take that back. Seems just talking to a Watterson's enough.
She appeared on the 80th anniversary podcast, where she described Emily as the character closest to her in real life.
I think she's the closest one to me. Because have been told that I'm quite straight talking. And I think some people may misconstrue that to being slightly bold, slightly rude sometimes. And Emily has that tendency to sort of plough ahead, but I think I hope for me also is that her motives are well-meaning.
In the US dub, Emily was voiced by Jules DeYoung.
I don't know. Thomas is a busy engine. He chuffs all over the island.
Remarkably, both of them voiced Emily in their respective dubs for the entire series run, and were never recast.
Cool.
All the main cast made their debuts in the 2009 special Hero of the Rails.
I think Emily might be the only one. No, Carrie Shell in the US dub with Henry.
Emily's role was not large, but it showcased what she's all about pretty dang well. While Spencer snoops around trying to find out what Thomas is up to, Emily stands up to him and basically tells him to shove it.
You're a big, strong engine, Spencer. Why don't you go and look?
I feel like every Emily Spotlight story in this era does pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
What? Nitrogen-era Thomas episodes being repetitive? I know, crazy, right? Emily wants to do a more important job than the one she's been assigned. She wants to do something more important for the football game. She wants to do the warbling whistle sounds the best. She wants to pull the Christmas presents train. And she gets distracted by trying to attain those goals and neglects what she's actually been assigned to do. Deliver dirty washing, get Dash to the steam fair, find Sir Topham's hat.
Please, sir, I will find your hat.
Thank you, Emily. That would be very helpful.
Really? He let an engine freely roam the railway to go find his hat? That's the plot of this one? Dumb as all these episodes are, at least I can say Emily's character is consistent throughout them. Very much sticking to that confident know-it-all that needs to be reeled in sometimes.
Yeah.
I know all about flowers. I know that buttercups are yellow.
Emily!
Okay, that was cute. New writers were brought in for season 17, and as we all know, this kicked off the Renaissance era. As far as the early Renaissance episodes go, I think Emily is pretty great in them. Episodes like No Snow for Thomas and Flatbeds of Fear do such a great job of utilizing that more prickly personality of hers, and to great effect. And that shouldn't be a shock, because both of these were co-written by Paul Larson, who was one of the Hit era writers, and was quite familiar with Emily. No Snow for Thomas is an interesting one, because it's kind of a redo of Thomas, Emily, and the Snowplow from Season 8. Kinda like how Old Reliable Edward was sort of a redo of Edward the Really Useful Engine, but taken in a new direction. Here they managed to make Emily the big sister type to Thomas like she was before, but they tone it down a little bit, and she ends up having a totally different arc this time. Instead of being upset about Thomas getting out of wearing his plow, Emily has a great day in the snow, and ends up being the one to have fun, while Thomas's scheme backfires on him. She even pulls Annie and Clarabelle here, to Thomas's offense. Perhaps an intentional little nod to their first encounter? I also quite like her in Flatbeds of Fear.
If I'm gonna be honest, it feels more. I like Thomas and Emily and the Snowplow more because both characters learn a lesson after that, and not just Thomas. Well, I mean, it's good that like Thomas learnt his lesson, in that episode of being like, you need your fucking snowplow, mate. But I think I like the Mole series version more because Emily also learns from this because she forgot to mention that the Fat Controller was the one to tell Thomas to wear the snowplow.
In this one, the engines all hear a mysterious noise in the fog as they go about, and no one can explain it.
Don't be such a pair of scaredy engines. There must be a perfectly sensible explanation.
Emily is actually the one who is completely in the right about the situation from the start. But of course, she's a know-it-all and has to act snobby about it.
You are being very silly, Henry. There really are no such things as the flatbeds of fear.
And so she gets her comeuppance when she too falls prey to the same irrational fear as the others. The mysterious sound ended up being wind traveling through the pipes on their flatbeds, by the way. See, a sensible explanation.
Oh, I see. I knew it had to be something. I wasn't really scared.
Her role was not large in Tale of the Brave, but it again showcased her character quite well. She tries to shut the other engines up when they all laugh at Percy for being afraid of a monster.
It had spikes and teeth and claws and spikes and teeth.
Stop. That's enough.
There was a new writing team on the show now, and they weren't above making playful jabs at the previous eras.
Guess what? Let me see. Have you been asked to deliver a giant balloon on a flatbed?
Back when Emily joined the main cast, fans often complained that she replaced Duck. And being aware of this, the new team slipped this gag into the episode Duck and the Slip Coaches.
Oh, yeah.
Duck sleeps
that's
at
a funny
Tidmouth one night, and Emily arrives late to find no space left for her.
Oh.
And they did it again. I would say it was around this time that a new air around Emily started to form. I kind of get the sense that the new team thought Emily didn't have that much going for her. And I say that because that's literally the plot of Emily's Spotlight episode this season. Emily saves the world. The other engines all discuss past specials they've taken, and Emily reflects on how she's never pulled anything special.
Oh,
Even though she was the one to take Gordon's special coaches. Just saying.
Never delivered anything exciting.
I guess they just forgot when she collected Gordon's special coaches, huh? I guess I don't blame them, though. The show itself forgot those even existed the second that episode ended.
True.
She ends up transporting a globe statue to the animal park, which, of course, all goes awry. The episode is pretty silly overall, but it's fine. It's an excuse for a fun runaway adventure story. But I think this kinda set the new norm for Emily moving forward, and her character started to change as a result of it. Because the very next season, they did another episode with a similar premise. Best engine ever. Emily feels inferior to Caitlin the Streamliner, and comes to the conclusion that she just isn't special like her. Her tune changes when she manages to rescue Caitlin from a nasty runaway, and Caitlin reveals that she also has insecurities about herself. She doesn't like pushing because it dents her front skirt. I quite like the moral of this episode, to be fair, that we all have insecurities and things we wish we could change about ourselves, and that's okay. It's easily the best written of the Emily is down on herself episodes. I think them wanting to change things up a bit and focus the story on her vulnerabilities for once is totally fine, and it shows a new side of her character. But I do find it a bit of a bummer to see this version of Emily with no confidence in herself become basically the new norm for her. It's such a contrast to how she was before, where she always thought she knew best. Fun fact about season 19, there are three separate occasions this season where Emily is shown dangling in the air on a hoist of some sort. This information doesn't mean anything, I just thought it was funny and wanted to mention it. After not doing much in season 20, season 21 was sort of an Emily renaissance. She had a pretty big presence this season,
she did.
with 2 lead roles that used her really effectively in my opinion. Dowager Hat's Busy Day is a joke episode, which plays up the ridiculousness of what would happen if Dowager Hat was left in charge of the railway. Emily is our point of view character in this, and the audience sees just how nutso everything has become through her eyes. It all builds up to this moment where she takes charge and tells Dowager Hat that she's a lunatic, in the nicest way possible.
Dowager Hat, there are certain engines that are suitable for certain jobs, and other engines that are not.
She then works with
I also like this because it's just a quick jab at the nitrogen episodes, which, yeah.
Dowager afterwards, and gets everything back on track again. Emily in the middle is the standout. In this one, Emily assists Donald and Douglas with a heavy load across the island. I think it's pretty inspired that they paired these three up. The three Scottish engines all in one episode.
In the
What a
UK
fun
dub.
idea. And I don't think that they've ever shown Emily meeting the twins before this point. Now, I do find it a pretty frustrating episode for Donald and Douglas. The twin characters' arguing shtick was so overdone at this point, and it's played up to a pretty ridiculous level. But I do think it's a great Emily episode. Emily gets stuck in the middle of their argument, getting pulled one way or another. And just like with Dowager, it all boils to a point where she just erupts.
For goodness sake, you two! I was trying to help you out. If you would just stop arguing for 1 minute, you'd see it's me that needs some help now.
I love the way she handles the two here, lashes out at them and takes control of the situation. She even gets this moment in the fastest red engine on Sodor, where she scolds James for stopping so sharply.
Stopping sharply like that is bad for your brakes.
I can't help being fast, Emily.
And then she rolls her eyes at him when he refuses to listen. She's so used to his crap by this point. I really love Emily this season. It was a real return to form for her, and in my opinion, was her strongest season of the whole CGI series.
Yeah, I can agree.
I feel like Emily was sort of forgotten again as the show moved into the Big World, Big Adventures era. Ironically, this was the era that they started pushing other new girl characters in the main cast, yet they hardly made use of the one they already had, at least at first. They attempted to update the main character models during this period, and I use the word attempt loosely. They added a bunch of rivets and handrails with seemingly no rhyme or reason, all in the name of making them look more realistic, which heavily contrasted the exaggerated cartoony gesturing movements that the engines did at this point.
Yeah.
They all look pretty ugly, to be honest, but I will say, Emily's redesign was the most tasteful of the bunch. I appreciate that they added that curved handrail above her face. It's something present on her real-life basis, and on her original concept art. It kind of looks like a tiara. It's a bit high up, though, and I wish they placed a lamp or something right there on that centerpiece. Emily's first lead in this new era was in season 23, where they again fell back on the I've never done anything special shtick. Like, it's exactly the same premise as Emily Saves the World. She feels glum because she's never had an exciting adventure before. Except this time, they get around retconning by saying it's been a while.
Sorry, it's been a while since I had a big adventure.
So what does she do? Tries to have an exciting adventure, of course, and it all goes awry. Come on, we've already done this before. Season 24 picked things up a bit. Emily received 2 leads again. The first, Emily's best friend, is kind of a weird one. Yet another woe is me Emily episode. Emily feels left out because she has no best friend on Sodor. So she tries to find one. Honestly, this episode kinda just feels like an excuse to have Henry and Edward appear in an episode to shut the fans up about them being replaced. It's okay, I guess, but it feels way too late in the game to have Emily start wanting a best friend. This is a story that may have worked when she first joined the Steam team, back when she was new, you know, trying to find her place,
season 8.
not 15 years after the fact. The other Emily episode this season, however, is a pretty significant one. Emily to the Rescue, an episode in which Emily saves the Express from disaster. And as a reward, the Fat Controller gives Emily a new title, the official safety engine of Sodor.
From now on, I'd like you to be our official safety engine.
I think this is pretty lame, to be honest. It comes off like a, well, we have to give her something unique. Well, she rescued engines from close encounters in the past, so safety engine, there we go, sure, why not? What even is a safety engine? Like, someone who pulls Rocky and the cranes around to crash sites? Doesn't Belle already exist to fulfill this exact purpose?
Yeah, right.
And literally...
Again! Fucking Belle needs to be used more, and should have been in the new fucking show, not Sorry, don't know what came over me.
Lives where Rocky is stored. So whenever there's an emergency, Emily has to drop whatever she's doing and go all the way to the rescue center to get Rocky. Hey, remember how Emily has her own coach? Whatever. We never really see where they take this because the show ended after this season. However, something else also happens in this. Part of Emily's reward is her finally receiving a number 12. This was really nice, and was long overdue. Emily has been a main cast member for 16, 17 years at this point. It always felt strange to me that she never had her own number, especially when random newcomers would all have them. Considering this is Emily's final role in the series, it is pretty darn fitting that it ends with her getting a Sodor number finally. That provided some nice closure for her.
Yeah.
So props to the team there, if that was the intention. Something that I feel the CGI series missed a trick on, and the model series to an extent too, was not dabbling in stories that dealt with some of the quirks of Emily being a sterling single. They're such
Same situation with All Engines Go, but she was a side character in that, so didn't really matter. So hopefully the new show does something with her.
unique engines that had a slew of their own quirks and issues. Their lack of traction was a big one. But Emily is always treated as if she's a normal, modern for the time steam engine that just does the same mixed traffic work as anyone else. The fact she is such an old design is never relevant. Her single pair of large driving wheels, her most distinguishable visual trait, is never ever relevant. It's almost like they actively tried to avoid her being considered old in any regard. Emily could pretty much be any design of steam engine, and it wouldn't really change how her stories play out. I feel like the CGI series started out well enough, but sort of lost its intent with Emily as it went along, and it got to a point where they didn't really know what to do with her. That really comes across in the final season, where it felt like they were grasping at straws to give her a new purpose. There's plenty of strong Emily episodes in the CGI series, though. I quite like Flatbeds of Fear, and pretty much everything with her in Season 21. But there's also just as many duds, at least in my opinion. In the end, though, they at least managed to end her run on a conclusive note. As Emily, the Railway's number 12 engine.
Yeah.
So this is the second time in the series where we have only 2 different eras to choose from.
Three.
So between model series and CGI, which of the two do I think Emily was stronger in? Well, this one undoubtedly goes to the model series this time. I really feel like the hit era writers had a firm grasp on who Emily was. I like that she was more flawed and overconfident. It allowed for more entertaining stories, and she remained very consistent throughout all those seasons. I can't say the same for CGI, where it felt like they didn't really know what to do with her towards the middle and the end there. Despite that though, Emily had a fair share of strong outings in both eras. Emily's role in this show is the main group's straight shooter. She speaks bluntly and with intent, and sometimes we need people like that. Someone who doesn't mince words and just tells it like it is. You start acting out, Emily's the one who will slap you on the wrist and tell you you're being an idiot. She will be the first to help you out if you find yourself in a pickle. You'll just have to sit through a brief I told you so lecture. You know what they say, Emily really knows her stuff.
She really, yeah.
Stupid boiler, always grumbling.
What are you on about now, Henry?
My boiler's grumbling.
You sure it isn't grumbling at you?
Oh, ha ha! It feels weird. I don't think the works fixed me right.
You're leaking water? Maybe
Oh, I'm sorry. Who are you? The Sodor doctor? Is that why you're here? I don't recall asking for your input. These new engines come.
Don't mind him, Emily.
Know everything about.
With Henry back, the Fat Controller sent Emily back to Black Lock. Emily was grateful for the work, but she wasn't keen on leaving the big yard so soon. Back to the lonely lakeside run, with no one to talk to. Henry, meanwhile, wasn't having a good time either. His suspicions weren't wrong. The works had messed something up, and he was leaking water everywhere as he went. But he still pressed on.
Oh, no, come on! Don't tell me we got to haul all this! I can barely carry my own weight right now!
Let's still give it a good try, Henry.
Okay, I can do this. It's only a coal train. I pull these all the time. Phew! Is it just me? Or is this train heavier than usual?
You can do it, Henry. Steady on.
I can do it. I can do it. I can't do it. I can't.
Oh, well, that's darn it. Now we'll have to walk back for help.
But they needn't do that.
Henry, are you all right?
No, I'm stuck.
I figured this would happen. You were leaking water everywhere.
I was not. Hey, what do you think you're doing?
Getting you out of here, Mr. Crosspatch. And to the works to have you looked at again.
Oh, well, thank you, I guess.
Don't mention it.
One night, Thomas worked late with the mail train. The boat arrived late at the docks, and Thomas worked long into the night.
You also call all important mail trains, Thomas.
When he finally finished, he was too tired to go all the way back to the sheds, so he decided to stay at Knapford. He was surprised to find Emily there.
Oh, hello, Thomas.
Emily? Oh, didn't expect to find you here. Is this where you've been sleeping?
Yeah, this is where they'd been keeping me.
Must be nice having all this space to yourself.
Yeah, it's okay, I guess.
Is something wrong? You seem glum.
It's Nah, you wouldn't understand.
Try me.
I spent years stuck in a museum in one place, with nowhere to go, no one to talk to. And I know I shouldn't complain. I'm very lucky to still be around, and I am very grateful to be useful on your railway. But there's no other engines on the Loch Run, and then I come back and there's no one here either. I'm on an island full of steam engines, and yet I have
no one to talk to.
Yeah, it can get quite lonely here.
Thomas thought long and hard about Emily's dilemma, and the next day he told the other engines.
Oh, hi, Oliver.
And she has no one to talk to. She's all alone.
That isn't right. She's the bravest engine I ever met.
And that's coming from the engine who escaped the scrapyard.
And she rescued me when I broke down.
Oh, hi, Duck.
Gosh, and I was so rude to her.
Me too. Emily deserves better.
I have made a decision. Emily gets on with all of us, and she has rescued many of us since she arrived. I believe that she has proven herself. I propose that we convince the Fat Controller to let her stay here in our sheds. After all she's done, she deserves it. What's one more engine, right? All agreed?
Agreed.
So, who's going to tell the Fat Controller?
Are we going to have another deputation?
I propose that Percy tell her.
Me? You always pick me.
Well, yes, because you're good at it, Percy. Now, off you go.
What? Now?
Yes, go on. Emily needs us.
Why is it always me?
The Fat Controller appreciated the engine's feelings and agreed. Now, Emily stays at the...
Sorry, I don't know why that's so funny.
big sheds with the other engines. She enjoys her runs to Blacklock now, for now she never feels lonely. Because every night she comes home to different engines to talk about her adventures.
And our line was blocked. We were trapped. And then I looked down, and there, in the water, was a big black object swimming right towards us.
Was it the Black Lock monster?
A monster?
Jumped out, and it was seals. It was only seals.
Look at you, James. Afraid of some big, scary seals, are you?
No, I was just worried for Emily. Okay?
Oh, right, sure.
I mean it, I swear.
Emily is brought back to the museum on occasion, but she doesn't dread her time there anymore. For she now has a family on Sodor she looks forward to coming back to. Finally, Emily is home, and she couldn't be happier.
About that. So it's not to say that I don't like it. It's not to say that I don't like it, but I feel like at this point, the Unlucky Tug is chickening out. And it's like, I can understand why he's not wanting to cover All Engines Go, because, like, it's not Thomas. Like, nothing about that show resembles Thomas. But it is still a part of Thomas. So it's like, there's gonna be a point where you're gonna need to cover it, Nick. And so when you put the thing up that, like, oh, you're gonna be covering Emily, I was, and, like, when you said that, like, there was going to be, like, a third section to it, I was actually genuinely intrigued that you were finally going to cover All Engines Go. But you just went ahead and made, essentially a history on Emily and like, a headcanon for her, which, I mean, is fine. Like, people do that all the time. But for something like Sodor's Finest, that it's just not going to cut it. I'm sorry, but you should have covered All Engines Go with Emily. So, I think the best way to go about it would have been to, like, just save the Railway series, like, the Railway series headcanon for, like, the sidetracked characters. Like, obviously, like, Railway series characters that are sidetracked, obviously, like, duh, they're from the Railway series, but for characters like Murdoch, Arthur, Molly, fucking Belle, like, those characters deserve a Railway series headcanon. And, like, again, I'm not saying that Molly doesn't deserve one, but for the format of Sodor's Finest, this could have been the perfect way to start watching All Engines Go. So, I feel like this is me trying to defend All Engines Go, Emily. I'm not. I'm just saying it would have been nice for you to have started going into that. Because, like, again, there's going to be a point where you're going to run out of stuff. So, yeah. Yeah, no, that was a good episode. That was a good story. I yeah, I feel like I got everything I needed to say out on that one, so I guess with that said, I will see you all in the next video. See ya.